Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Trail Talk. I'm so glad you could join us today. Little voice over the top of mine there for a minute. I know this is not typical for Trail Talk to have a guest here live with us on a Wednesday, but that's what we're doing today. So I want to welcome Mike Anderson. Welcome to Trail Talk.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're absolutely welcome. So Mike is here because, well, first of all, this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday,
Yes,
is that right? Is the Chisholm Trail Ram Prairie Circuit Finals Rodeo. That is a mouthful of a name. But that is happening this weekend, and we probably have some more information about that. But Mike is here to talk about an event that's happening pretty much all day Friday, I guess, prior to the rodeo, which is the Living Legends.
Yeah, we're going to induct 3 living legends of the Prairie Circuit.
Okay.
And we do 3 a year. We've started in 2013, and we've done to date 31 living legends.
Wow, isn't that so cool? We're going to dive into this more and find out more about it. But first, if you guys don't know Mike Anderson, let's get to know him for just a minute. So Mike, are you from Duncan or this area?
Yes, I grew up in Duncan. I went off to college 3 or 4 years in Southwestern.
Oh, that's my alma mater.
Yours, okay.
Yes, it is.
Well, I went out there and we got their rodeo program started out there. And they've since won several national championships.
Yeah,
which I'm real proud of that. And I came back home, went to work for the state. I worked for them for 30 years. And then I left there. I worked for 6 or 7 years with the county, running the fairgrounds here. And I left there in 2017, I guess it was. And I retired after that. So now I basically I got the Prairie Circuit Rodeo Finals here in Duncan while I was at the fairgrounds in 2010 is when I started. I got to talking with Ron Rumford from the circuit finals, and he said he'd love to have it in Duncan, Oklahoma if we could do it. So we talked for about a year and worked it out, got a committee together, and it's took a life of its own since then.
Right. Well, yeah, that's a long time for it to be here.
10 or 12
13
years. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So have you always been involved in rodeo? Is that something you grew up doing?
Yes, I had a guy years ago when I was just elementary school or maybe before. He lived down the highway from us, and we lived kind of out at the edge of Duncan. And he was a professional rodeo. He did everything from steer wrestling to bull riding, bronc riding. He was just one of those 40, 50-year-old, 50 back in the 50s. Cowboy.
Right.
They had to do everything.
Yeah. They didn't specialize so much. Like, yeah.
It's funny how I got started. You know, people wouldn't believe it, but he used to come down to the house all the time, and he just kind of latched on to me, and he said, "Do you want a rodeo?" And I hadn't thought about it. He said, "Well, I'll help you if you want to." And I said, "Okay." I didn't know. So he went down to the feed store and rolled off some rope off of the roll of twine they had there, and brought it to me, tied some knots and stuff in it, and loops, whatever. He said, "Every time I see you with that rope in your hand, I'm gonna give you a dime." Well, back in the early 50s or mid 50s, a dime would buy you a Coke and candy bar anywhere.
Right.
I thought, hey, this rodeo deal might be all right.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, I got where I had that rope. I could see his truck for 5 miles. You know, I mean, I was getting my eyes open. So I knew if I had that rope in my hand, I got dime. And that's what I did several months. And then he up there and he said, "You got to rope my foot. You got to rope that bucket. You got to rope that post. You got to catch something." I thought, he's making this more difficult. Yeah, it's 15 cents if I do catch. And I did, because I practiced till I could.
Right.
So we went through that deal for a while, then, several months, and, he come in there. He come in one day and I had the rope, I wrote this, wrote that, did everything he wanted me to do. He just flipped me a quarter. He said, he hadn't got the bug to rodeo, you never will get it.
Mhm.
And that's how I got started.
I see.
My granddad helped me, my dad, mother helped me. We got horses, we bought whatever, and started roping goats,
Mhm.
and I got involved in it, and it just evolved from
Right.
there into high school rodeo and into college and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
That's how I ended up in Southwestern.
Right. So did you rodeo professionally, like after you got out of college?
I did a little bit, but I worked mostly on my career with my
Right.
education and
Right.
whatever. And I thought that was more important than jumping out there.
Well, rodeo, during the rodeo season, I mean, it's a every weekend kind of
Yes.
thing. And, if you're depending on when you have to work and family and that sort of thing, it's like you have to make a choice. And, so it's not everyone can commit to that rodeo.
Well, I wasn't
Demand.
willing. I
Yeah,
wasn't willing to throw my whole career into rodeo. Back then, rodeo didn't pay a lot. You had to spend all this money, you had to do all this stuff, and you basically you had to have a really good banker
oh,
and
yes.
that kind of thing, and I did not feel comfortable. I'm more independent,
Mhm.
and I wanted to be independent. I knew that I earned my own money and did whatever, and I rodeo weekends and whatever. And I saw the guys, we have a lot of guys in this area, guys and girls, whatever, that rodeo. And I got to be friends with most of them. And we talked and talked and talked, and they said themselves that when you get into professional rodeo, it's a different world.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's a whole different world. And one of the world champions that I've got to be good friends with, one of them, he said, if it were me, he said, I would work, hold down a job, get a career, get a retirement, get whatever, and rodeo on weekends. And so I got to thinking about that. And he, like I said, he's a two-time world champion.
Mhm.
And he said, when I won my world championships, he said, I won $28,000 and won the championship. He said, I was broke when I got through
Right.
at the end of the year.
Right.
And
There are a lot of expenses
there's
with all of that.
pickles and fuel. Back
Travel
then,
and-
fuel was just 10 cents a gallon.
Well,
It was
yeah, but still, I mean,
Horses and
Yeah.
feed but anyway, he told me, he said, that's what I would do. And so I kind of followed his advice
Mhm.
and that's what I did.
yeah, well, there are amateur athletes and there are professional athletes, and rodeo would be the very same kind of thing. You do it because you love it and it's a fun thing to do, or you do it because that's how you intend to provide for yourself. You're making your living like that. So, it's just one of those things. So, but you have found a way to continue with that love of rodeo. And so I guess working out at the fairgrounds, I mean, that facility has just evolved over time to
Right.
become one of the best. I mean, Matt Byerly was on Trail Talk. It's probably been a year and a half ago or something. And just the schedule, how full it is. And like when this rodeo gets on the calendar, that is their weekend, year after year after year after year. And what a wonderful event and thing for the community of Duncan to know that, every year this rodeo is coming, and we can
Yeah.
know for sure.
When I started with fairgrounds in 2010, there was very little activity at the fairgrounds. There was And when I left, and I'm not saying I did this myself, because I didn't have a lot of help, the community, the tourism, whatever, they all helped me out a lot. But we had events scheduled 45 weekends out of 52.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was bringing in, at that time, when I think it started, it was $4 to $5 million economic impact.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left, it was like between 10 and 14 million.
Right.
So it was bringing in a lot of money.
Mhm.
It was the leading tourism draw in Southwest Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
is what I was told.
Right.
So,
Right.
yes, it was real busy. We stayed busy all the time, a lot of work. You know, it was hard on the staff because they had to work all week and all weekend.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I'm not sure where it is now, the numbers, and I don't know,
Mhm.
but
Oh, it's still a busy place, and it's just it's just one of those things that through the years, different people
mhm.
invest and bring in new things and do this and do that, and it's just continues to be one of the just a really prime location that a lot of different groups want to use.
Mhm.
And I just think that that's such a benefit to the
Well, it
community,
is.
to
It
the
is.
area, really.
It is
the
for
whole area. Mhm.
whole area around here.
Yeah.
In fact, while I was there, we had the largest hog show in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still coming.
Mm-hmm.
Been coming for 35, 40 years now. And I was talking to the administrators of that organization, and they bring in right close to $3 million into Duncan or Stevens County, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
in 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was there, the motel stayed full. We had to send people everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had motel people from Lawton, I had them from Ardmore, Borrica, Chickasha. They were coming down and saying, send them to us.
Sure.
We will do whatever. They wanted a piece of this action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so as the events multiplied, when I was there at the fairgrounds, and like I said, we had a lot of really nice events, things that I would never dreamed of before then. And people are coming in and staying and spending money, and it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
So the people
Absolutely.
needs to really support that facility out there.
Oh, for sure. So tell me about first of all, tell me about the rodeo itself that comes. What is significant about this rodeo? What makes it first of all, it's a 3-day event. So that tells me there's a lot of competition.
Well, you have to qualify to come to this rodeo,
Okay.
and people work all year long. I say people, contestants, cowboys, cowgirls.
Right.
They work all year long, and they've got, I don't know how many rodeos in the circuit. The circuit, the Prairie Circuit, it consists of Kansas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma.
Okay.
So they rodeo in those, and there's various rodeos throughout the spring and summer and fall that you have to go to qualify, and you earn enough amount of money to make the top 12, I think it is. And those 12 get to come to Duncan on
And that's
October.
12 in every event.
Every event. There's about 7 events. And
For men and women
Men and
combined? Okay.
the women, they'll have 12 in the breakaway roping. And breakaway is a brand new event the last 2 or 3 years. It's
Okay.
brand new.
Wow.
And it's growing like you can't believe.
Mhm.
Barrel racing and do the women's events. And it's growing a lot of notoriety. So, and then we have all the other standard events, the roping and riding and all that kind of thing. And they come here, qualify, and then they get to go on to finals in Colorado Springs. It's just for the circuit, cowboys and cowgirls. And they get to go, they call it something, but anyway, they get to go to that one next June or July.
So when you compete in the Prairie Circuit, is that like can you compete in are there other circuits?
You can compete anywhere you want to, but your points will only get, you got to commit yourself to say, well, I want to be
To
in
one,
the Prairie Circuit, the Texas Circuit, you know, mountains, wilderness and all that.
okay,
There's 13 circuits there is. So you have to commit yourself the first of the year, say, I'm gonna rodeo on the Prairie Circuit. So you
okay.
can't jump from circuit. Now you can go to those rodeos, but the points will not count
points.
toward the.
And if
Prairie
you're at a
Circuit.
different rodeo, you're not earning Prairie Circuit points.
Exactly.
Okay, I see.
Exactly.
So there would be no benefit in that.
But other than money,
Right, well, yeah, if there was one with a great big purse or something,
you're
yeah,
not gonna turn out Houston or
right,
Denver, Fort
Right.
Worth, you
Yeah.
know, so you're gonna go to those, but it will not count as Prairie Circuit points.
mhm, yeah, and that's the main thing is to earn those points. So, the 3 days, are all the competitions every day, or is it kind of broken down?
They
You
get-
know, do they get 3 days to compete?
The finals is a 3-head average,
Oh, okay,
so they'll rope Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
okay. mhm,
And they'll compete, and then on Saturday, the winners of the average will be awarded their prizes and buckles and all that kind of thing. And then they will then go on to Colorado Springs in the spring, I think it's summer, whenever it is,
mhm.
and they'll compete there. And some of, in fact, we have a lot from the Prairie Circuit that go on to NFR.
Ah,
We've got world champions that come out of the Prairie Circuit every year.
hmm.
So it's,
So
It's
how
a
do
big deal.
how do they compete? I mean, like, how do you qualify for national finals? Are like the top riders from each circuit?
No,
then?
no, the national finals, it's most money won in the PRCA
Oh,
throughout the
okay,
year. So
Okay,
there's some people that win the world titles that didn't make the circuit finals
interesting.
because they're all in the Northwest, they're going to South, they're going to other rodeos that pay a lot more money.
Okay,
And they'll hit these rodeos in this area. And some of them will make the finals, some of them won't.
mhm,
We've had some make the national finals and didn't get to come to the Prairie Circuit.
interesting.
Because they didn't
right.
make enough, we got to think they had to make 10 or 12 rodeos, 15
Mhm.
rodeos in the circuit, and we've got like 30 some. So,
Right,
and so if they're off in California, Wyoming, Montana, Canada,
mhm,
you know, and they've got some big Calgary, Pendleton, Round, and all them, they're going to go to those rodeos because they pay quite a bit more money than a circuit rodeo might pay.
right, right. Okay, so the living legends, tell me, how this came about. Is this something that you've been a part of since the beginning, since the living legends
Well,
inductions began?
it's kind of my baby.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're the fellow to tell me about it, Mike.
Back in 2010, when I started at the fairgrounds, a group of people came to me and said, why don't we have the circuit finals in Duncan? Well, it's always been in Kansas City, the Lazy E,
Mhm.
big metropolis type
Right,
places, you know. And I said, gosh, y'all, Duncan is not as big as Kansas City, you know that. So they invited me to call Ron Rumford. He's president of the Prairie Circuit. So I called Ron, never met him before. And he said, gosh, yeah, Mike, that would be fabulous. Let's work on that. And I said, what do we do? I had no idea.
Mhm.
He said, well, first we got to get a committee together. So I got in touch with the different people in the area here that put on rodeos. Joe Henderson was one of the first ones. He'd been involved with the Lions Club rodeo for 30-something years.
Right.
Went to see Mark Crutcher,
Mhm.
and they said, put me down.
Mhm.
I want to do this. So I thought, well, okay. So we jumped in and went to putting the committee together and went to talking about it and had to get sponsorship. And it cost a lot of money to put on the rodeo period of professional rodeos.
Right.
And it really costs a lot, you know, to put on the circuit finals. So we finally got sponsorship, we got it up where we could, and it took off.
It took off. So let me ask you, if you're you're hosting this, do you have to provide like the bulls for the bull riding and all that kind of stuff, the
Well,
calves for the,
The circuit
This-
has stock contractors, a
Right.
number of stock contractors, I don't dare, but their cattle, I think it's voted on by the contestants of the Prairie Circuit. They want this horse, this
Okay.
bull, this,
Right,
and then they bring in calves that are even for everybody.
So you don't have to chase that stuff
No,
down?
no,
Okay.
that's where Bronk Rumford and the Prairie Circuit Committee,
Mm-hmm,
there's another committee above us
mm-hmm,
that brings all those together and bring in the stock and whatever. And all we have to do here is provide grain, housing, and a facility to,
right,
and then the workers to, take tickets.
mhm,
Then there's other sponsorship stuff,
Yeah.
that we have to do.
yeah,
And it's work. It's
Oh,
an
I
awful
believe
lot of
that.
work year round. And it's way busy the week of the rodeo.
mhm. So you've got this rodeo coming here, started in 2010. You said in 2013 was when you started the Living Legends induction. So how did that evolve out of this becoming the location for the rodeo?
For the Living Legends.
Yes, how did the Living Legends spin off of that? That's what I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
like I said, when I went to work at the fairgrounds, we wanted to do the Prairie Circuit Finals Rodeo, and we wanted to do something special, something above and beyond what everybody else. So I said, why don't we do a Living Legends of the Prairie Circuit?
Mhm.
And we got a lot of legends. And I talked to Ron Brumford, he's our go-to guy.
Right, which, by the way, the name itself, the guy, Rumford,
Well,
it just screams rodeo.
he's a coach in Kansas at one of the rodeo colleges up there, and his family been involved in rodeo. He works for Benny Butler in the summer, rodeos all over the country.
Mhm.
When you say Bronk or Benny Butler, all you're saying is professional
Professional,
rodeo to
yeah.
the highest degree.
Okay,
So I called Bronk and I said, Bronk, here's what I want to do. He said, and I told him, I'd like to do a Prairie Circuit Living Legend. He said, that'd be outstanding. He said, who are you looking at this year? Now it was 12. And I said, I don't know that we can do this late date, but I said, next year, I'd like to do Clark McIntyre. And I met Clark years earlier, and I was really impressed with him as a man, as a rancher, as a parent, and just him as an individual. I'd like to do him. And he said, that's great. So we went from 1 to 5 or 6 and down. So we finally decided we'll do 3 a year.
Mhm.
This year total will be 34.
All in
Since
all,
13.
and
Since 13.
2013. Wow, so, what are like the things you look for? Like, what makes someone a good candidate to become a living legend?
Well, for one, they had to contribute to professional rodeo
Uh-huh.
in some way. We've got people that saddle maker, Howard Council, he was professional saddle maker. And it's like buying a Cadillac with saddles.
Okay.
Howard Council was your guy, so all the world champions used his saddles. So Howard was a big name for us and a legend.
Mhm.
And if you win world titles, that automatically puts you in the running. People that's made the national finals a number of times, or somebody that's contributed to professional rodeo in our circuit
Right,
And,
just in any way.
in any way,
Men
shape, or
and
form.
women.
Men and women. You've had a number of barrel racers. Oh my gosh, we had to do 5 one year because it's all friends, and we couldn't choose one over the others.
Right,
And I wasn't about to get in the middle of that cat fight.
yeah.
And they're all friends of mine, every one of them.
Uh-huh.
So I said, we'll just do 5. He said, oh, yeah, that's gonna take a long time. I said, so we got some sponsorship. All that worked out. We got 5 nice buckles, and they all came and just had a blast.
Mm.
And then we did Roy Duval, we did the Burks, Roy Burke and Barry Burke. We did Judy Garrison. Oakberry was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
He couldn't come to the rodeo. He was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Mm.
And Roy, he said, I'll be there. He's not going to come. I
Mhm.
said, appreciate that. And I said, but Oak can't come. He said, well, that's his problem, that kind of thing. You gotta know these guys, they're all buddies.
Yeah.
Anyway, I called Oak and I got with Lois Dawn Jones with our tourism here, and she said, we can fix it where he'll be on Skype at the rodeo on our big screen. So I got in touch with some people in Sioux Falls along with her help. And they introduced Roy, whatever, said, we got Oak Berry also, but he couldn't be here, but through the technology of today and whatever,
Right.
all at once he was there live.
Mhm.
And all the people were crazy, that they had Oak Berry there, so.
Right.
So we do stuff like that once in a while.
So
Surprises.
have there been some, you mentioned Junior Garrison, have there been some local people who were are living legends who are considered?
Oh, yeah, I'll leave some out, Barry Burke.
Okay, so
he was local.
Oh, Jim McLean.
You getting to know Jim McLean?
Well, I do. I mean, I
Who doesn't
haven't
know
seen,
Jim
right, yeah.
Jim McLean, yes, he was a bullfighter clown for circuit rodeos
Yeah.
for a number of years. Kelly Corbin,
Okay.
Mildred Ferris, John Ferris, Gina Day from Woodward. You can just look through there, there's 31. And the Uries, Sherry Combs, Sherry Johnson, Carol Goostrey, over Burton.
Okay.
So, yes, we've had a number of people. Zane Tibbetts, we did Zane as a horse trainer.
Oh.
He trained horses for a lot of these guys that needed rope horses, whatever, or if the horse got crippled, he could go get them on a horse. So he was a contributing factor to their success.
I love that, it's not just the stars.
Right.
It's because there's so many people who do things behind the scenes that those stars wouldn't be
Exactly.
equipped for their competitions if it weren't for these other people.
Well,
So
that's my mindset, and it was a hard sell.
I
Everybody
bet.
said, well, he didn't do nothing, she didn't do nothing, but no, that's different.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you a conversation I had, and you'll know some of these people, when I was doing Clark McIntyre. And I didn't know Clark. I met him at Rodeo Fort Smith, Arkansas, years earlier. And we sat down, had breakfast one morning, and we talked, and it was just a pleasant conversation with another rancher cowboy, but he was more of a family man. All he talked about was his family and how good a wife he had and kids and all this. And you would have thought he would talk about his kids, how wonderful singers and this, that, and whatever. He didn't do that. He said they're just good people. And he said they're hard workers, and he said they help on the ranch when they're home. So we went through that kind of thing. And anyway, Clark was in an assisted living. His health was fading real fast. And I talked to his son, Peg, and Peg said, Dad he can't be there. He said, and I'm having health problems. He said, call Alice, his older sister. So I called Alice. I never met her a day in my life. Just like talking, we are here today. Called her up and I said, Alice, I want to do Clark as a living legend for the Prairie Circuit. We're going to do this. And he said, Mike, this is just as serious as she can be. She said, Mike, don't forget Mama was there too. And boy, did that ring bells in my head. I thought, yeah, every one of these people had wives, girlfriends, whatever, a support group.
Well, yeah, even the women competitors,
They had
that
husbands.
husbands, probably kids, they were probably raising kids, and everybody's raising a family and doing things like that. And
You've heard all the stories, about how Reba got started and that kind of thing. She got started because of her mom.
Yeah.
Because they was raising the stink in the back of the car, and Clark's about ready to throw them all out. And he told me this, so this is behind the scenes stuff. He said, y'all shut up back there, quit fussing, quit arguing. You don't have kids on them. So Jackie got back there with them and said, let's sing songs. So she taught them how to harmonize and whatever. And so that evolved into the singing McIntyres, and they started making money at the rodeos. People throw money in a booth, whatever.
right.
And then, like I said, everybody knows that, Reba went to the NFR through her dad.
Mhm.
He said, if you're going up there, you might as well make money.
Yeah.
He said, go see Clint McSpadden, tell him you're gonna sing the national anthem. Okay. Then Red Steele happened to be there through Mama.
Mhm.
Mama called Red and said, you need to be here. I want you here, Reba. So he showed up. He said, I think we got something here.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, take a
Yeah.
look.
It was probably about 1986. And there was a rodeo in Hinton.
Mhm.
And Pate McIntyre was the main performer, but Reba came and performed there
Yes,
also.
yes. Seriously, don't forget.
Yeah, and it was, anyway, it was just looking back. I'm like, Pate was the headliner
Yes, it
at
was.
that rate, at that rodeo. It was
The
not
whole- The
Reba.
whole family thought that Pate was gonna be the next big thing, and for whatever reason, and he's not upset about it, 'cause I
Yeah.
talked to him a bunch. He said it just didn't happen. Now, he signed with some record company in Nashville for a while, and he made records and whatever, but for whatever reason, he didn't take off, and we've talked about it many, many times. He said, you can have the best voice, the best everything in the world, and not make it in Nashville, or you can be somebody under Reba McIntyre or Dolly Parton. You can be under them and make it for somebody like that. You just gotta have everything mixed
Yeah,
and work.
it's always gotta be the right
There's no
time.
politics involved too.
Yeah, yeah. So, this year you have 3, have you announced who the inductees are this year?
No, it's not a secret, by no means. I got a committee. I had to have a committee because it got so many to the point where I couldn't think of all the legends.
Right,
There's so many in different states and whatever. So I put a committee together, 4 or 5 of us, and so we get together and have lunch and we talk, how about this, how about that, who about this, and we choose 3.
mhm,
And this year, like I said, we was over at Sonny's Restaurant in Purcell
mhm,
and was having lunch, and I said, there's one guy that I'd sure like to, and I go through all the circuit, back history, whatever, and John Macbeth. He won like 6 circuit saddle rock riding titles, 1 world champion. And I told the group, I said, I'd really like to do him. I can't think of anybody else right offhand. And one of the other guys said, well, what about Ronnie Bowman? And I said, I didn't know he's still alive,
mhm.
I hadn't seen him in years, but I knew his dad. I used to rope with his dad years and years ago when I was younger. And then I said, gosh, yeah, heck yeah, he's 5, 6 times national finalist.
Oh, wow.
So I said, yeah, let's do that. And then one of the other guys said, what about Lyle Sankey? I said, I've never heard of him. He said, yeah. I said, he lives in Kansas. Said he's won everything that's in the circuit. Said he saddled on bull ride, driver. He can ride anything.
Oh, my goodness.
I said, where does he live now? He said, we don't know. Maybe in Kansas, we didn't know. So Jim McLean,
Uh-huh.
I seen him. And he said, who we gonna pick this year? He's on the committee.
Oh, okay,
He's on our committee with us. He said, I said, what do you think? He said, man, that's great. He said, you live? He's great. I said, I don't know how to get his phone number. He said, wait just a minute. He said, it's coming to you right now. So
Uh-huh.
I called him up. I called John Macbeth up, and then I called Ronnie Bowman. Ronnie Bowman grew up in the Morrow Gray area,
Oh.
and he's got family here.
Uh-huh.
And I told him what we want to do. Gosh, it's just like Christmas time, they're just so glad that we chose them and hadn't forgot us and that kind of thing.
Right.
That's the reason we're doing this, because you guys cannot be forgotten.
Right.
And you made rodeo for what it is. And gosh, I've been talking to their wives and, husbands, they can't organize anything, except like me. So I'm not talking about it. And I told them the same thing. He said, well, call Kathy. This is Lyle. He said, call Kathy and tell her what's going on and make arrangements. And I said, okay. He said, but we are coming. I said, great. So I got in. I said, do y'all need rooms? and Holiday Inn Express, Fairfield, Angel Farley. She's an angel. She's an angel.
Mhm.
She said, whatever you need, we're on. So I got rooms for them, and one of the two, I don't know where she put them.
Mhm.
And so they're gonna be here tomorrow. Lyle won't be here till Friday morning. He's got to take care of livestock.
Mhm.
But they're all gonna come and
And this,
super happy.
and is this a, by invitation only event for people that people will be attending?
No, it's open to the public. Anybody can come. We're gonna do it here at the museum,
Mhm.
Friday morning or Friday afternoon after they get through with the stair roping at the rodeo inn. And everybody's gonna come over here that wants to come. It's open to anybody that wants to come, and they get to shake hands with legends, people that's really made a mark. for rodeo.
Right. So, what time then you'll be here at the Chisholm Trail Heritage Center
Yes, ma'am.
in Duncan, and, roughly what time do you think that might?
Well, we're thinking somewhere between 1 and 2 o'clock. We're not
Okay.
really sure. They're having a dinner over at the arena for the contestants, and our legends are gonna be there as well. So
Right.
after we get through with that dinner, probably they start about 12, we'll probably over here sometime at 1 o'clock, I'm guessing.
Mhm.
Just when everybody comes, and then when everybody gets here, then we'll go from there.
Mhm. And will there be kind of a order of events while you're here? Will you do do a presentation at that
We will.
time?
We're gonna, the girls breakaway ropers are gonna come and attend with us.
Uh-huh.
They want to be a part of this deal. And some of those girls eventually will be our legends too. Some of them,
Absolutely.
and barrel racers,
Right.
But the barrel racers got other things they're gonna do, but the ropers, they want to come.
Mhm.
So we'll have them and their family and spouses and girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. We'll have them. And then I'm not sure we'll do it first. We'll probably introduce our legends first.
Mhm.
And like I said, hopefully we'll have a slideshow where they can see who they are and see the past champions that we've all got in our album
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
We'll get all that finalized. And so we haven't talked about it. We've got one they've never done anything like, we've got a Miss Rodeo America from the Prairie Circuit, who was also a world champion barrel racer. They've never had a Miss Rodeo America become a champion of anything.
Wow,
And
that's really something.
Joyce Kernick is
Uh-huh.
her name. She was Joyce Burke back
Okay.
in the years, but she became in 1962, she became a world Miss Rodeo America.
Uh-huh.
And just a country girl from the New Mexico ranch.
Uh-huh.
And then she married Barry Burke. And then they moved to Duncan, and she was here throughout her rodeo career. And 1970, she won the world championship in barrel racing. So she lives over in Davis now, and we're hoping that she'll be able to come. She's having some health issues right now. So we've got some unique situations that people don't even know about.
Mhm.
I mentioned this to somebody in the PRCA, and they said, we didn't know that.
Mhm.
And I said, y'all running this all day. You don't,
Right, yeah.
you gotta know how I am. And then another special thing, Sherry Combs. She's won 2 world champion barrel races. Her and her sister, Florence Urey, they were the names. They're the ones that got Joyce thinking about rodeoing when she was back in the hills of New Mexico.
Mhm.
All she could read about is the Urey girls,
Mhm.
and they were the prettiest and the best trained and all that. So anyway, Joyce, when we did what she did, Florence, she was a GRA all-around champion.
Mhm.
Her husband, they had barrel racing, but on clinics, they raised and trained many barrel racing champions at their ranch in Paddington.
Mhm.
So I got to know Sherry real well, and she said that when we were talking about all this, she said, I had a report called Red that I won the world championship in '62 in the barrel racing. a friend of theirs, Tom Neesmith, he won the Bulldog World Championship on the same horse the same year. And he also won the Alderman that year.
Wow.
And she said, nobody even knows about Red.
Huh.
And I said, how'd you come up? How'd you get Red? And she was married to Benny Combs at the time. And her horse got crippled first of the year. And she said, Benny, I don't know what I'll do. I don't have a horse to ride. I'll go down and get old Red. Said, he's been bulldogging on him. Said, he'll be all right. Just take him 30 days, 60 days. She went to Denver. She said, if I hadn't hit a barrel, I'd won the barrel race on Red.
Wow.
Well, then the Bulldoggers went to want to ride him and whatever. And so that year was crazy.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
But now,
Wow, that's-
Red's in the Hall of Fame along
Someone
with
just-
Sherry.
Someone should write a book or something about all of these things. This is very interesting.
I told Sherry, we were talking about all this. She said, nobody knows about all this. And I said, well, I do.
I mean, seriously, someone.
They make movies out of stuff like this.
Yeah, exactly. These would be such great stories, and what a legacy for young people today who love rodeo, or maybe a young kid who's thinking about rodeo, to just see those stories and to know about them. Those would be so great.
And rodeo has evolved. It
Oh,
hadn't
for
been
sure.
for the Florence Cherries, the Sherry Combs, the Burks, all those people. You know, if it hadn't been for them, rodeo now you can make millions now. The Ty
Right.
Murrays, the Trevor Brazils. I mean, rodeo has evolved. So now it's not like it was back in the 60s and 70s and the 50s. You know, you get through, you got money.
Right.
You make enough money now, you can save money, buy ranches and stuff.
Mhm.
So, yes, it can be a career start for somebody.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, I just want to encourage everyone to think about going and watching some Prairie Circuit Rodeo
Absolutely.
this weekend. If you're interested in meeting a living legend and shaking their hand, probably get a selfie with them too. I bet there'll be a lot of selfies
They'll be
taken.
more than happy to sign anything, whatever. Come here to the museum Friday
Right.
afternoon.
Friday afternoon, come by. I doubt if you're gonna be charged any kind of money at the door if you're come back to the Living Legends
That's what
event. Yeah, and just enjoy some great rodeo. And I mean, I've enjoyed watching rodeo, but I'm not, a lot of the names you're saying are not familiar to me. You know, I'm not that involved or even that big of a fan, but just thinking about the legends that literally the people who have devoted so much of their lives to making rodeo, like you said, what it's become, what it's evolved into today, that they'll be right here. Some of the biggest and best names in rodeo.
Hopefully be here year after year, as long as the final stays in Duncan.
Mhm.
We're going to keep having the living legends, and we're going to keep nominating world-class people to be here.
Right.
And like I said, these are just people like us. They'll sit down with you, they'll talk to you, they'll sign, take pictures, sign autograph, they'll sign your hat, boots,
Mhm.
shirt, whatever.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
those kind of people, and they'll be glad to do it.
Yeah, and I want to just give a shout out to John Macbeth and Ronnie Bowen and Lyle Sankey. Congratulations on becoming this next class of living legends for the Chisholm Trail Ram Prairie Circuit Rodeo Finals. And I hope you enjoy your time here in Duncan. Mike, thank you so much for being on
Thank you
Trail
for
Talk
having me.
today.
been a pleasure,
Absolutely.
Edie.
This has been very informative. I have really learned a lot about the Prairie Circuit and about all of this. Yeah, and I appreciate all you're doing to keep all of this going. And I'm sure that the living legends are just so thrilled to
They
get
are.
their calls.
They are, and we've lost some over the years, you know, and so like I said, we don't want these people to be forgotten.
No,
Live or not, we don't want them to be forgotten.
well, that's the beauty of this thing. It's an annual event.
Exactly.
And so their names are repeated year after year, and then new ones are added. So it's beautiful. That's a really wonderful thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
So whenever we sign off, we always say happy trails. You
Happy
ready?
trails.
Let's look at the camera. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Jay Snyder from Surreal, Oklahoma, hailing from my hometown.
He's a great guy
Oh,
too.
great guy, friend of the Heritage Center, Oklahoma State Poet Laureate.
He's a great guy.
He's
His
coming
whole family.
here. He's gonna come here and be a guest for, I don't know, maybe the 4th or 5th time on Trail Talk. I keep dragging him back, but
He's a good guy.
he's a
y'all.
great guy. So we'll see y'all tomorrow. Ready?
Yes.
Happy
Happy
trails.
trails.